Hello. And today we'll continue with Shelter with Alon's tragic Barkstory. And what are you grinning for? Stop it. Oh, nothing. Don't smile so sincerely. I didn't do that to make him happy or anything. I just hated the thought of being indebted to him, that's all. I did it for myself. It was a matter of my pride. I don't even like that book anymore. Hey, is it just me or did the water suddenly get colder? You stare at Burry as he holds the gift in both his hands, leaning his forehead against the cover. He tries to silence himself from crying, but it is very clear how deeply affected he is by the reunion with his book. Thin layer of crimson crystal sprouts from the point of contact between the book and his claws, and mirages of magic frost dance in the water around him, with constantly forming and fading images of the 11 ice wolves. Chance, Trip, Dexter, Ace, Zane, Rocco, Harvey, Coda, Arlo, Ringo, Gus. All of them manifest in those ephemeral reflections, and in my mind I can almost hear them howling. Finally, Burry calms down. The magic subsides. He takes his face away from the book and smiles. There's warmth in his expression I've never seen in him through all the years I've known him. Never. Thank you, Alon. You can see his eyes and his white. And we already saw his eyes like in his root, but that's like doing a CG of him. But this is the first time we get to see him with his eyes open as a sprite. Yeah. Listen, I don't want to state the obvious, but you do realize the story is supposed to be about me, not you, right? Yes, of course. My apologies. Please continue. Where was I? All right. Night after night, I would read the book in secret, a few chapters at a time, in part because those adventures fed my curious puppy mind, and in part because it seemed to resonate with me on a deeper level. It had a bit of a quest or noon. He was quite a charmer with a pure heart. The slow burning romance plotline with his best friend kind of just felt right. For those of you who don't know how the story goes, the book starts by describing the dawn of recorded history. All 6 realms of the world, each a home to different magic, and different people are separated by impenetrable magic barriers. The canine hero Moon, gets born with the power of crossing the glass. He goes on a journey, meets people, sees places. Then a lot of shit happens, and by the end of his adventure, he and his comrades shatter the glass together. That sets all people free to migrate between the realms if they so choose, but that also gives birth to the very threat of corruption. Because of that, some call Moon a villain. But most celebrate him and his friends as heroes and saviors. Monsters or not, the hearts of men can't help but yearn for freedom. Moon's life eventually draws to a close, and some years later at noon, the German Shepherd dog gets born into the world, now exploring the freshly acquired liberty. He goes on his own journey, makes his own friends, and by the end of it all the time of their greatest need, he awakens to full extent of the old Moon's might, as he was unaware all that time that he was in fact the reincarnation of the great hero of the past. However, with that power comes the end of his individuality as Noon. He takes the name of New Moon, and after saving the world-ending threat and drawing his journey to a close, he leaves all his comrades never to be seen again. And that's how it ends. The author of the book tried to give it a bittersweet spin, but all I felt was just the bitterness. The snowdrops scene, that was when he bid farewell to everyone. I think the flowers were supposed to be a metaphor to a new beginning, the ending of winter and all that. But to me, they have a more sinister meaning. Noon was just like that snow at their feet. The snowdrops waited underneath the dormant all that time, but they were destined to pierce sooner or later, spelling the end of winter. Just like Moon always sleeps within its new incarnation, threatening to take over at any time. As I read the epilogue of New Moon, turning around and leaving everyone behind, I could literally feel the pain of his lover. That ending hacking ruined me. I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night, and I was desperate to find out more. I wasn't ready to part with Noon. So after the whole sleepless night, once my caretakers came to my room, I saw the sorry state I was in. They tried to summon the doctors, afraid I might have fallen sick. However, I halted them, instead ordering to summon Sir Healer to my chambers. I was really desperate for any leads to find out more about Noon, no matter how improbable that could be. The name of the book's author was Bramble Blue Healer. Sir Healer was from the same clan, so... Wait, I was wondering about that. Sir Healer? Do you mean? Here, all of you call him by his chosen name. Whoa, no way. You know Thistle too? You knew he used to work in the castle, Luke. I told you. Yeah, but I didn't know he knew Alon personally. Is there anyone in Shelter you don't have an unexpected past connection to? Come to think of it, not that many. A pretty bustling social life for a lone wolf, huh? Yeah, whatever. I knew Sir Healer, yes. I knew him, and I summoned him for a chat. He immediately asked if I had any new dreams for him to record, but it didn't take him long to realize something was wrong. It took some convincing to make him stay and talk with me instead of rushing for the doctor to ask him to sit down with me. I told him about the book. His eyes widened in shock. I inquired for more information, but he quickly apologized and cut me off. He offered to take the book off my hands to hide it, begging me to trust him and his tutors in their choice of curriculum. There would be a right time for those topics, he said. But I was stubborn. I ordered him to tell me what he knew, yet even that didn't bring the results I wanted. Unlike Noon and Moon, Sir Healer wasn't a reincarnation of the old Bramble. He said he had no recollections of the events witnessed and recorded by him. Having one's reincarnation loop exclusively close to only one species was a very unique feature, and Noon was the only living canine still holding such a blessing. The moment he said that, he instantly grew pale. Fear and guilt spilled from his mind and washed over me in piercing cold. He realized that, in his nervousness, he said something he shouldn't have. He wanted to pull on that thread, but one of my royal guards came to the room, escorting two of our doctors. One of my caretakers didn't waste time summoning help just in case. Sir Healer bowed and excused himself, walking away in a hurry. I was checked for sickness, but since there was nothing really wrong with me except for sleep deprivation, they put some herbal medicine in a sausage and asked me to eat it to help me rest. With that, I finally managed to fall asleep. I dreamt. A memory of my very first day in this world was brought before my mind's eyes. All the joyful faces around me, celebrating my emergence, excited yet soothing voices of caretakers and warriors. It was caretaker Ruby addressed the big, strong-looking general as Doom Moon. I wondered, where was he now? I woke up fully rested yet restless. I had a feast with some avian ambassadors scheduled for midday, but that plan was called off in part to let me relax after a sleepless night, but also because of some unexpectedly missing food rations. It was General Gunner who brought me that news. He was supposed to be accompanying me at that feast. I felt annoyance in his mind, but he didn't show it. At the forefront of his mind was worry for my well-being, like it always was. Yet I couldn't let go of the feeling of bother that flashed through him when he mentioned the missing food while keeping a perfectly stoic face. The interactions and experiences of the past week made me realize how much was being hidden from me. I didn't want to keep getting treated like a brittle, delicate flower. I wanted to know more about the affairs of my kingdom. I wanted to be told things. And General Gunner, he was one of my most trustworthy people in the whole castle, a fellow wolf. Is that because of the vermin? Vermin. The missing food. We have rats in the city. Is that it? Where did your majesty hear that from? Bury Tanglewood mentioned that offhandedly. Oh, that fat boy for the ceremony a week ago, huh? He's not fat, he's St. Bernard. Yes, fat like all St. Bernards are. And then he proceeded to stomp the floor with a deep growl, like a massive monster rolling through a village, and I ran away from him, shouting, playing the panicked crowd. He had a good minute of laughter about you. I liked it when Gunner made fun of funny people. Oh, in good spirit, of course. Yes, indeed. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one who ate all of the missing rations for his morning snack. All 24 kilograms of cheese and meats. That chunky bass boy. Still, your majesty does not have to be concerned about the vermin. Their last heist was a huge blunder. We have a clear scent of them now. I have dispatched my best hounds. The thieves shall cease to be an inconvenience soon enough. I'm glad. But you're lying. You're worried. Corners of Gunner's mouth drooped at that comment, and his mental barriers raised without a thought. He shook his head and opened his mind for me once again, as it was a huge offense to match your intentions from the king's empathy. Your majesty, I am not lying. It is my most earnest intention and the highest priority to take care of that as soon as possible. I might have overstated my confidence in doing that as swiftly as I would wish I could. So far, they have been elusive. We do have a fresh scent of them, and we already destroyed multiple nests over the past weeks, yet we did not manage to catch even a single one. I am disappointed at my incompetence in restoring the integrity of my very capital's borders from some dirty scavengers, no less. Even more so, I know that if they still remain active in the city despite losing multiple nests, they must be dwelling close to the castle by now. They would not dare to cross past the castle moat unless they were absolutely suicidal. Yet I am still anxious about having to deal with them within your window's view. Once we inevitably corner them, it is going to be an upsetting sight, your majesty. That is why I was not lying. I chose to withhold those specific details for your peace of mind, especially after hearing about your majesty's sleepless night. Thank you for telling me, General. Of course, now I beg you to rest and recover. Leave any troubles of those unimportant affairs to me. I live to ease your burden. He bowed and started walking away. General? Yes, my king. Do you remember General Doom Moon? I saw you two together a long time ago. I think you used to work under him. Or at least, I know you know him. He didn't turn around and face me. That in itself was an offense. His mind was blank and cold. Forgive me. I have to return to my duties. And he left. I couldn't believe that kept happening. I was so frustrated at that point, it became painfully apparent to me that something was very off with the way people treated me. They insisted on withholding information from me. I stomped the ground and laid down on the sofa to soak. I felt so alone in my anger and disappointment while being fanned by two servants and petted on the head by the royal petter. Even my favorite truffle caviar foie gras afternoon snack didn't taste the same with the bitterness eating at my soul. I knew they noticed that, but nobody spoke up. I didn't understand what was going on around me, and I had no idea how to approach it. I was still a child. I was not used to these kinds of situations. One thing I knew, though, was that one way or another I would find out the truth about everything hidden from me. I was a king. It was my right and duty to know. Your Majesty. It was getting close to sundown when General Gunner came to visit me in my chambers. He had a royal retriever by his side, a member of the Golden Retriever clan. They both bowed and waited by the entrance. Once I granted them entry, only Gunner approached me. The retriever still waited by the door. The preparations for the feast are going well. We're ready to resume the celebrations tomorrow noon, if your Majesty feels in the mood. The emissaries will wait if needs be. Do you hear me, my liege? He just stood there in the middle of the room while I stared out of the window ignoring him. I wanted to make it clear I was crass with him. The wolf didn't respond for a while, and while the awkward silence lingered, anxiety grew in his heart. I felt him bracing himself for something, a word, an apology, perhaps. Whatever it was something uncomfortable to my empathy. Unable to take it any longer, I turned to him. There's someone you need to meet. My king. One of the emissaries? See them tomorrow. Somehow, I don't feel like being showered with praises today. It's not that. Please, follow me. He turned around while still looking at me expectantly and didn't move. He had questions that I am not at liberty to answer. But there's someone who is. Someone who holds all the answers. He left the room, passing the golden retriever while still waiting at the entrance. One of the emissaries. I'll see them tomorrow. I'll see them tomorrow. I'll see them. I'll see them. I'll see them tomorrow. Somehow I don't feel like being soured with praises today. It's not that. Please, follow me. He turned around while still looking at me expectantly and didn't move. You have questions I am not at liberty to answer, but there is someone who is. Someone who holds all the answers. He left the room, passing the golden retriever still waiting at the entrance. The dog smiled at me, but there was little emotion in his soul behind that cheerful face. All those mysteries, half answers, I was sick of it. I ran past the retriever and caught up the gunner. He didn't walk fast. He seemed to slow down even more once I reached his side. The evening sun bathed the yard and the castle's inner walls with a soothing golden glow. I always enjoyed the moments and transitions from night to dawn. The descent of the day into the darkness, not as much. Where are we going? The basements. I've never been there before. I was told they're cold and unpleasant. That is true. I shall let the retriever know to bring us your coat. Are you connected to him right now? So, you know Doom Moon, right? Your Majesty, I would really prefer to discuss those matters once we reach our destination. But yes, that is a familiar name indeed. Is he as amazing as New Moon from the stories? He scared the breath. His lips trembled as he stared in the distance, still walking. I could feel my upper cheeks growing warm as his subdued emotions flooded my mind. He was straining himself from shedding tears. No. He was nothing like anyone before him. And there's never going to be anyone like him ever again. Your Majesty, General. The golden retriever saluted us before offering me the silver-encrusted leather coat. I spread my arms, granting him the privilege of putting it on me. Good boy. Then he turned to Gunner, handing him a book. The book, my heart sank as I realized it was my tome of New Moon stories. What is this? Why do you have it? General. Good boy, you are dismissed. Gunner tossed a small snack to him as a reward, and the royal retriever gave us a quick salute before running off. The Lupine General's brows furrowed as he glanced at a random page of the book. He sighed, clearly bothered. I don't understand. Did you order him to go through my room? My deepest apologies. I needed to be certain. Is this Tangeroots doing as well? Why would you? No, it's not. It smells like this. The scent of the deeper dungeons has permeated through every page. Give it back. I don't think that's wise. For your Majesty's sake, for your Majesty's safety, I shall hold on to it for now. No, it doesn't belong to you. It's mine. It's precious to me. You will give it to me. Now. Is that an order? General. Yes. I order you to give it back. The wolf warrior sighed and kneeled in front of me, offering the book with his head held low in a sign of submission. I hated that. I despised the thought of using my authority to force someone I liked to do something against their will, even if they infringe on my own. Carefully I took the book off his hands. It didn't feel satisfying. I didn't want to say that. It is fine. I am a servant to the kingdom and to you, your Majesty. But I don't want to order you around. You cannot be a leader without getting used to making people do what they don't want to do. I myself have to learn that skill, and you shall grow into that as well, my king, in time. He raised his head and gave me one of those very rare smiles of his, those slightly curved corners of his mouth that always failed to hide the true somberness behind his yellow eyes. Watch your step, your majesty. The stairs here may be slippery. The guards opened the entrance to the dungeon, and Gunnar waited for me to walk inside ahead of him. I brought the big tome to my chest. Reluctantly, I descended into the darkness of the dungeons. The deeper we went, the more moist and slippery the stone steps grew. Indeed, I didn't enjoy the air there. It smelled wrong. At one point, I heard a muffled noise coming from the depths of some unlit side corridor. Gunnar, walking behind me with a lit torch in his hand, tried to cover one of my ears with his free hand. He brought you to the dungeons when you were still so young. I cannot believe this. That was my one and only time in that place. Luckily, I didn't witness any of the sources of those noises. We didn't stop on one level long enough to properly listen either. We just kept descending down the stairs. The walk was so long, it felt like we were going to reach the bottom of the world and see the cosmos below. And we still kept walking lower. General, I don't want to be here. My king, you must not be afraid. It is scary, yes, but such is the nature of truth. You may still turn us around and make us leave if you order us to. But I do not believe you would be satisfied coming back without getting your answers first, would you? You are not one to let go of things easily, after all. Please know that I shall not let any harm come to you. I have inherited the role of the protector of the realm, and you, my king, are our realm. That will never change. You are safe with me. Finally, the stairs ended. We stood in a big hall made carved in rock. The ceiling was painted with a series of some historical scenes from the dawn of recorded history. I couldn't keep my sight on them. It seemed that each time I looked up, my eyes just drifted away, probably because it depicted people who suffered corruption at the end of their lives. He led you all the way to the obsidian den. Sounds important. It is. Obsidian den is the very bottom of the castle's dungeon, the deepest part of the whole Crimson Royal Grove. It holds the greatest significance to those servants of the grove of special confidential positions, of which ascension to higher scholastic ranks takes place there too. Whoever he wanted to introduce Alon to must have been an extremely important person indeed. Here, your majesty, pray follow me close. I stopped gawking at the beautiful architecture around me and instead hurried behind Gunnar. We walked past all the elaborate altars and sculptures until finally reaching a flat, unassuming stone wall. I took a few steps back when Gunnar took out a knife. Then I yelped and shocked when he sliced his own palm, making the blood drip from it. I had never seen blood before that. He pressed his hand against the wall and started whispering some words that eluded me, the same way as visages of those paintings from before did. The stone sucked in the blood like a sponge, and the stone itself started glowing with hundreds of lines of magic runes. To my surprise, his palm started dipping into the wall as if diving into some kind of melting sludge. He took his hand out of the wall and offered it to me, urging me to hold my breath and follow without letting go. I did that. I grabbed onto him, took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and walked right behind him. The last thing I perceived before diving into the water, the hissing sound of his torch as it lost its flame in the sludge. Then it was just darkness and overwhelming silence. We trotted through the dark, magical stone gloop, and I couldn't help but grow more panicked with each step. Every second inside the wall felt disgusted over my whole body. 10 seconds. 20. Before I could stop myself, I let my fear take the better of me, and I shouted a silent scream into the stone mass. I started drowning in the uncanny liquid. Gunner's grip on my hand grew tighter as he was, and he watched us through the darkness. Did he even know where we were going? Finally, my snout re-emerged back through the cold air draft, and my knees hit the solid floor. Gunner immediately blew air into my mouth, forcing a cough out of my chest. What flew out of me as glowing, wet magic sludge seemed to turn solid the moment it hit the floor. It took me a lot of coughing to clean my lungs up and regain my breath as well as my composure. Forgive me, my king. I took a wrong step. I have not traversed this path in too long, and sniffing my way through is impossible. On my very life, I promise you, I shall not allow such a blunder on our return. Eventually, only remains of wet dust swept out of my lungs with those last strong coughs. My eyes were wet from all the abuse endured in my body. I want to go back. Your Majesty, please. We're almost there, I swear. My book, I lost it. Pray wait here a moment. No, don't. The moment I heard Gunner dive back in there, I was right behind him. However, when my hands pressed against the wall, it was just solid rock. I banged my hands against it, shouting for Gunner to come back. I was terrified and alone, trapped in a place nobody could find me. I was scared for my life as much as for his. I didn't know how the magic passage worked. What if the magic would run out before he could come back and he would just stay trapped? Did I send him to his doom just for a book? The seconds dragged into eternity. A good minute must have passed, and he still wasn't back. I looked around in growing panic. The corridor I found myself in was dark, but enough for my eyes to make out clear shapes. There was light at the end of it. I didn't want to go without Gunner, but I didn't know how long I could wait. What if he was already dead? What if he abandoned me? I knew that eventually I would need to stand back on my feet and go on my own. However, that was 2 months for me at the time. The time for action would come eventually, but first was the time for crying like a pathetic little bitch. Gunner! I jumped back up on my feet and embraced him. I was so sore I could only hug one of his thighs. My apologies for taking so long. I kept sobbing into his leg, and he just stood there uncomfortably. At the corner of my eye, I vaguely remember seeing him reaching his hand towards my head as if to comfort me. However, he changed his mind, and in the end, he only patted my shoulder. I found it, though. He offered the book back to me, and I took it back, pressing it firmly against my chest. I swore to myself to never let go of it again. The big gray wolf nodded and wagged his tail 6 times, as was tradition, before rekindling his torch and turned towards the light at the other end of the corridor. We walked there together, letting the shapes our surroundings grow clearer as we approached the source of white light. Then, once we finally reached the end, we found a big metal cage with a series of thick steel cables running through it vertically. An elevator basked in the white light of ancient relic lamps. I have never seen lights like that before, with no flames. I couldn't sense magic from them either. We entered the cage, and with a pull of a lever, we still could move, progressing our descent even deeper under the dungeons. That is impossible. The grove's hidden depths, huh? You didn't know about that, did you? Sounds like it was very well hidden. Yes, no, I did not know, no. And you, Woon? Woon stares at the reflex of stars in the water, and only shakes his head without a word. The truth hidden at the very bottom of the Crimson Royal Grove. Listen, what I'm about to share with you is significant. There are very few people who know, and from my experience, I'm not sure if this knowledge is going to do you any good or perhaps bring you to ruin. It may be a big mistake for me to tell you, especially to you, out of all people. Do you regret knowing? Me? Huh. It doesn't matter. The truth is the truth. I prefer to suffer through it than to stagnate in false comfort. But you are the same. Just like you followed Gunner to the depths of the Crimson Royal Grove, despite being a small, scared pup, we now want to follow you into the same place. Please, Alon, lead us. And so we descended into the darkness. At first there was nothing but rock around us. It felt like we were descending into a grave, never to be found by anyone ever again. The only thing that gave me some semblance of comfort was the draft coming from beneath our feet through the floor of mesh wires. Then finally, the draft blew all around us as we entered an open space. The light of the torch flickered with the wind, reflecting a metal ceiling above our heads before even that grew too far to see in the gloom any longer. The room seemed endless in all directions. We were like a single spark in the sea of darkness, suspended on 5 steel cables. Gunner was silent, nervous. General, please, do everything he says. Don't make him angry. But stay assured, whatever I may do or say down here. You are my master above all else. That is not a lie. Suddenly, I start hearing barking from down below. Multiple voices, still too far for me to reach with my empathy. Oh no, why would he? I beg you, ignore her, your majesty. Don't read their minds. They are not like us. And yet I couldn't stop myself, just like an ominous "don't look down" would make anyone do exactly that on a rickety bridge. And as soon as the people below us came into the range of my empathy, I connected with them. There was nothing unusual about them. They were exceptionally easy to read to. There was nothing unusual about them. They were exceptionally easy to read to. They were alert, but in a very honest way. They were simply announcing our arrival. No open hostility, despite their loudness. The ground finally started coming into view. I started noticing alien-looking metal shapes below us, the purpose of which I still don't fully understand to this day. The people below us were waiting on a wide, flat clearing. They were jumping and barking without a rest. I felt at least 3 presences. However, the closer we got, the more I was confused. Something was off about them. I could see their backs clearly, as if they were crawling over the floor. Then I yelped and clung to Gunner, realizing that their bodies were all twisted and wrong. They stood on 4 limbs. They had no feet or hands, only stumps within extremely short, clawed fingers. They reminded me of monsters from New Moon stories, but I could read their minds clearly, too clearly even. Their eyes didn't glow. They had uncannily canine heads, clear fluffy fur like our bodies. They were definitely people, but their minds, they weren't just honest. They were primitive, as if anything beyond extremely simple thoughts was beyond their capabilities. Their simplicity felt so wrong, nauseating. The cage's elevator finally hit the floor, and the three creatures jumped at the walls, clawing against the mess, barking louder with more excitement. I jumped into Gunner's leg, begging for him to protect me. Don't worry, they don't bite. They're just excited, haven't seen any other dogs in a while. I must admit, I'm excited to finally meet you two. I didn't expect it to happen today already. I don't like being taken by surprise. But oh well, it's not that big of a deal. Not the first time. A stream of bright white light blinded my eyes. There was a person holding some kind of a rod of magic light, and I couldn't read his mind. Oh wow, look at you. You really are adorable. I've never had a chance to see you this young. How old are you now, 10? He's 8 years old, almost 9. Ah, I see. You're so sweet. Don't worry, little guy. Calm down. Nobody's gonna hurt you. Do you want a treat? He held his hand through one of the holes in the cage. He offered a piece of dry jerky. Gunnar took it from him and offered it to me, and at first I thought I would be too scared to eat anything. But I was surprised by how quickly my mouth watered at the scent of that meat. Its aroma was fuller than any meat I had ever tasted in my life. As I chewed the treat, the person in front of us, calmed the primitive creatures around him down. He petted them on their very clearly canine heads and praised them exactly like you would do to a normal two-legged dog. The person did stand on 2 feet like us. He wore simple-looking dark blue pants and a long-sleeved leather coat. He wore boots, gloves, and a shiny metal mask with the visage of a wolf, long carved snout, pointy long ears. It was a simple but beautiful headwear that covered his face on the front of a metal, and a dark cloth concealed the back of his head. Yeah, hello? Ah, you even sound cute. Hi, little puppy. Who are you? What are you doing here? Who am I? Why, you still don't know. You can call me the Observer, or at least that's the name our boy Gunner knows me by. You can drop the "the" if you want. That's up to you. I don't mind. But you never do you? The mysterious stranger opened our cage. The creatures by his side sat down and waited patiently. Come on, let's go inside. Don't mind the dogs. They may want to sniff you to get to know you, but they are usually well behaved, I swear. But then again, that's not something I even need to explain to you, dogs, is it? The stranger chuckled before turning around and walking away. The magic wand of white light in his hand illuminated the way in front of him. He whistled, and the creatures he called dogs followed him. We followed too. I clung onto the corner of Gunner's crimson cape as we walked just a few steps behind the stranger and his 3 dogs. I didn't know what to expect from that visit. I was scared and confused, but I knew I had no choice but to comply. I took comfort in the presence of Gunner. I truly believed that he wanted to show me the truth, and he would protect me on my way to it. And so we followed the stranger. The stranger, with a mind I couldn't read. A unique vinegar-like scent on his body. And as far as I could tell, no tail. So this person has no tail. Could it be a human? Or maybe it's like a tailless canine. Yeah, maybe it could be a human. I don't know. roommate, Rouse here. Thank you for playing this month's update. I hope you're having a good time with Alon's treasured Barkstory so far. I've been looking forward to these parts, and it's great to finally see them executed both in text and audio visuals. And the mysteries and revelations, they seem to never end, don't they? Some writers visualize their stories as circles, like the famous hero's journey templates. I have always seen Zelda's story in the form of and dog conquer my mind. It starts lightly with a tip of comedy and comfort, stressing you patiently with those warm, joyous emotions. I find comedy to be one of the more effective ways to make you care about characters. Then once your heart is sufficiently stretched, then there comes the half of the story, the parts that make you gasp and surprise you, instead of the night's events. Through the course of 3 routes, we spent such a long and eventful time going in and out, circling through all kinds of those strong sensations and never ceasing our stretching for the final revelations and resolutions and not of our story that hopefully will stay inside you for quite some time, even after everything is done and concluded. To me, that's what writing is all about. In all seriousness, though, I really hope you'll have a good time going through this silly little route with me. I have quite a few moments I really want you to see. Version 2 is going to have a few of those. In the meantime, enjoy Hugh's wonderful new music and the experimental silhouette sprites for characters in the Barkstory. I think those are very nice for immersion and presentation for all those characters that appear 2 months too shortly to justify making a whole detailed set. I would love to make Gunner's detailed set sometime though. Funny thing about Gunner, I think he's the canine that has been the most undecided in regards to his breed in the whole story. Initially I had him as a cane corso, then I turned him into a German Shepherd, and even drew concept art for him for a mysterious shadow side project, but was never happy with him. I thought that with Alon being the only real Lupin representative in the story, our heirs Lord didn't sell the evilness of the Crimson World well. So yes, please don't sell for Gunner. Remember all the absolutely irredeemable things he's done. His red flag is so huge he wears it cape. I feel there are at least 3 other three other things I want to talk to you about. But I know I shouldn't stretch these credits too much, so let me at least just mention the past feature in the gallery. It exists, it's finally coded in. I wanted it from the start, but I didn't know how to make it properly, so I created a to-do list instead, and now we finally have it exactly how it should be. Right now, I implemented the early morning and late morning parts into it, and that's as far as the players of the public releases will have access to until Zelda as a whole is released as a complete game. My Patreon supporters will have access to the newest parts of past as soon as I implement them. Each section takes some time, so I'll be adding a few new sections every build. It's one of the more exciting parts of Zelda's new features, but not the only one. You'll get something truly unexpected and hopefully fun in one of the uploads. Especially I will to you, my supporters on patreon.com/wow. So I hope you are as excited to continue as I am. Not as I will to staff for being a goodest of boys and the unsung hero of this project. Your support means to me and makes all of this possible. The most beautiful and harmonic I will to Hugh for composing the new piece you could hear in this update. You're enjoying. You've given so much heart to those scenes I couldn't do with writing and drawing alone. And finally, and I will greatest embraces all the fantastic artists who created and share the pictures you can see above. They are a highlight of my day. Every day I see them. If anyone would like to add a new one for the next update, post your picture on Twitter with Zelda VN, click it or with a hashtag Zelda VN. Check that account all the time and retweet and comment on every picture. Maybe I should start using Blue Sky too, in case you use only Blue Sky. And on Twitter, my account is, see right there. Poke me there if you like. Well then, enough dilly dallying. Let's keep moving. Next time I settle the kidnapping order. When is it? The night of fate. Alright, so that was the newest updates and the kidnapping. So what? That this person could be a kidnapper, or perhaps maybe they're about to reveal something that involves the Crimson Warrior Grove kidnapping. Anyway, so Alon, as a kid, mentioned that this person had no tail, so could it be a human, or well, had like a the mass of a wolf. So could this possibly just be, I don't know, maybe it's a human, maybe it's a wolf. But anyway, it could be all the one. We'll just have to see. But anyway, we got to see a different side of General Gunner. He was ruthless towards um, Rune as a pup, and he literally killed his caretaker. So while we got to see the more noble part of him, like the game just said just now, he's still a red flag. We should not really be close to him. You know, like we shouldn't get all close and be. We should just be sympathetic to him because he committed a lot of crimes himself. So I mean, you got the bad sides, you got good sides of just about all people. But I mean, even the worst people can have a noble side of them. I mean, you got people who committed horrible atrocities, yet they were kind to those they cared about. So, we've seen the good part of Gunner. However, the bad part overshadows his good parts. I mean, he was still ruthless and brutal. He was he was very tough on Rune, and like I said, he killed his caretaker, and so he's not somebody for me or anybody really to um to get close to. I mean, he's still a brutal person. So guess we'll see what the truth is next time, since Alon wants to know what it is so much. Well, we're talking about the Child King version of Alon, not the adult one now. We're basically we're about to see through Alon's time, like as a kid, but not as an adult, but like him as a kid and a king. So it looks like people here want to. I mean, all the people who assist the king and all the servants and the generals and the warriors. It looks like they try their best to make Alon happy because they let him have all the best food, all the best products, the best luxury, the best baths. They let him have all the best of everything to keep him happy, so that way he won't think about wanting the kingdom. Because I believe they want to rule the kingdom. I mean, they want to rule the kingdom the way they want to, instead of potentially having Alon the king rule instead. So I don't know if they are doing this because he's too young to rule, or if they're doing this because they want to keep power. And we want to have the power for ourselves. We got to keep this kid happy. And just, so I wonder if I think they do care for him, but I think they have some of their own self-interest too, because they really want to keep him distracted from what's really going on in the kingdom, because that way they be able to control and rule the kingdom, but not the king. But Alon really wants to know what's going on in his kingdom, and General Gunner is going to show him that. And if Alon keeps up with wanting to know what's going on in the kingdom even further after what he sees, that may cause trouble for him, because the people that take care of him and rule the kingdom, they may not like it, because that takes power away from them. The more concerned Alon is with the kingdom, the more power they will lose, because he will want to rule and solve these problems himself. So, rather wait and see what happens. So, the big thing about this update is that we know that Alon is the king, the true king. So, I wonder what the current king they have right now is. I mean, like, is he related to Alon, or is he? Well, I think I'm gonna assume he's related to Alon, and that he may be a cousin or something like that. I don't know, but I wonder what the current king is, because he's also a wolf. I think he's also white too. I think he's white also, like Rune. And about the long credits, I might decide, instead of reading all that, I might decide to just play all of it. Just still to play all of it, but not speak. Because I was getting kind of tired from reading all that. So I think the next time I'll just play through it, the credits, but not speak, and then I'll, just save some time and save my voice too. Also, I probably could tell, I was getting tired at the end. So that's all for Shelter. The new update is out now. It's on Patreon if you want to go there and see it for yourself. So that's all for now. Thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye. See, you can click right here and go on Patreon and see the newest update now, before it becomes public. It'll probably be like at least another month or two, or maybe even 3 months until this becomes public. If you want to wait, you can wait, but if you want to watch it now, subscribe and go on Patreon and look at it. So that's all for now. Goodbye.